Magic in the Morning, Let's Go from Blackpink. We're at 8:37. We are on our way to Easter weekend. It is a Tuesday, and just like every Tuesday at this time, we have an installment.
Indeed, you have an issue.
Yes, installment of Good Policies with Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance. How you doing, friend?
I am well. How are you?
I am enjoying the memories from yesterday where we hit 60-something degrees out there with a lot of sunshine. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, you know the Noah Kahn song "Season of the Sticks." Have I told you about this yet?
No, stick season, yeah.
Yeah, stick season. So I created a new one in my head called "Season of the Poo." It's all of us dog owners picking up after a winter's worth of dog debris. And so days like yesterday, though, are days that enough snow melts off where I'm able to pick it up and kind of do it in stages. Because I have a 12-year-old who wants to go outside and throw the baseball. And I'm like, well, let me clear a playing area first. So
somebody was eating breakfast.
Now you have an issue.
Yes.
With me.
All right, so Good Policies on Tuesdays, and you referenced our subject this morning as far as our chat goes. What did you call it? Accepted, not accepted?
Accepted, not accepted, not quite. Admitted.
Admitted.
Non-admitted.
Okay.
So I know we've talked about this at one point in the millennia as we've been doing this, Jeff, but I think it's warranting a conversation. So there's really, we talk about how there's really two types of the ways the insurance industry operates, either in a soft market or a hard market. We've talked about that plenty, so let's not. But there's two types of insurance companies. There's admitted and non-admitted. Now let's go over the fun part. The admitted carriers can also be referred to as standard carriers, right? Or preferred carriers, depending on who you're talking to. Who are those companies? Any company you, for the most part, can just name off in your head is going to be considered a standard or an admitted company. So think of the companies like Progressive, Geico, Allstate, Nationwide, Concord Group, Cooperative Insurance, Ohio Mutual, Cincinnati Insurance, The Hartford. The list goes on and on and on. There's a ton of them. What are those companies? Do you know what that means to be an admitted company?
No, I don't. But one I didn't hear in there that you've referenced is Hegarty.
They're in there too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, believe me, if I was to list off every admitted carrier in Vermont, New Hampshire, we would need more time. And I would need a reference point. But there's a bunch that I didn't reference, but there's a ton of them. The good news is you're never going to know that you're not with a non-admitted carrier if you have to be. But let's stay with the admitted, the standard carriers. Those companies are admitted in the state of Vermont. The Department of Financial Regulation, which is the oversight arm in Montpelier that regulates insurance and banking and other things, they have to review all of the forms and the rates that these insurance companies have and either kick them back or approve them. So everything has to be reviewed and approved by the state of Vermont if you're an admitted carrier. Pretty much almost all of us are with admitted carriers. If you could name any company right now, I could tell you, boom, whether they're admitted or not. But let's talk about it. So those companies only write so much. There's certain types of things that might fall outside of the comfort zone of these standard carriers. Even though there's plenty of them, not all of them will take certain types of risk. So in comes the non-admitted carrier, which we also call non-standard, which we also call excess and surplus. Yeah, we like throwing a bunch of names on the same thing just to screw everybody up and make it more complicated. What is that? Well, that's a company that's allowed to do business in the state, such as Vermont or New Hampshire, but is not under the direct oversight of DFR. So they have to comply with federal law. To comply with state law they have to do mandatories to be compliant, but they're not on the direct they're not in their purview necessarily. Those companies exist to write things that maybe are not welcomed by the standard carriers. And if you have any questions, you hit me, but I'll tell you some of those types of risks.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you about risks, but I was going to ask you this question here because this has come up in our conversations before. Vermont and New Hampshire are reciprocating states still, yes?
Every state's a reciprocating state when it comes to insurance laws. So your insurance, if you're driving a Vermont registered vehicle insured in Vermont in New Hampshire and you get in an accident, it's going to respond in the way that New Hampshire will do it, even if you're in Texas or California too. But when it comes to these non-admitted carriers, what do we use them for? We use them all the time to write risk. We write flood policies in towns that are not participating with the NFIP, meaning they are ineligible for the NFIP because they're not FEMA-approved towns with their mitigation plans. So towns such as Wheelock and Sheffield. Lunenburg, I believe, is one of them, I think. I think so. But you're right with these non-standard companies for that. But maybe you have a risk that's in questionable condition. Maybe you bought a house that's kind of rough. Maybe the roof needs replacement. Maybe the vinyl siding's coming off. Maybe the wood siding's rotting. Anything that's considered a higher risk, both in a personal realm and a commercial realm, may be a good fit for what we call our non-standard carriers. A lot of professional liability will come from those types of carriers. Like if you are a architect and you need liability insurance, you may be able to get it from these types of people. Or if you are a professional in many other regards, maybe you're a bookkeeper, a CPA, an accountant of some sort, maybe those types of companies work for you. There's literally thousands of exposures that these companies can write, and they're much more flexible, and we use them when we need that flexibility. That's why they exist.
Okay, so my question is then, since you talk about those that are admitted being pretty much watched over by the state of Vermont,
Sure.
the banking insurances industry,
Yep.
Does that control rates and rate increases or vice versa on the non-admitted?
So the admitted companies really are under the oversight. So they need to comply, and all their rates have to be approved or disapproved. I'll give you an example. During COVID, there were some companies that didn't file high enough rates and got them kicked back because the DFR had approved so many other companies that had higher rates. They were worried and said to these companies, look, you may need to reconsider this. Or show us the math and we can approve it. So that's where that comes in. With a non-admitted carrier, there's nobody saying, let us see your rate. So it is probable, not a guarantee, but probable it could be more pricey. We don't see that all the time. We see it be pretty competitive. So the biggest reasons to go to a non-admitted carrier is because that's all you have for an option. We've exhausted the standard carriers and nobody wants you for some reason. So now we got to go over here. Those carriers are going to attach things that these admitted carriers can't, maybe a dog exclusion or a wood stove exclusion or things like that, which we would go over at the time of discussing the policy. And the other big crux of it all is that there's no payment plans with those companies. It's all or nothing. So you got to pay it in full. And that can be hard for some folks. So on top of everything else, let me add more confusion. We work with premium finance companies whose sole purpose in life is to pay the insurance company in full and finance your installments with you for a small interest charge. So, but it does allow those who can't afford a full payment to have a policy and do installments. So.
Well, you used a key word that I've taken from this chat. You used it at least twice, and that word is risk. And that's what these companies are doing. They're risking their wallets to cover you.
Right. And if they're outside of their comfort level, that's when a non-admitted carrier might be more appropriate for you. Like I said, Jeff, I mean, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds and bore the bejeebers out of everybody, but we work with these carriers every single day of the week. So it's not like it's an anomaly. That's very common. There's a lot of risk of working with them. So it makes sense to use it. They have good coverage. I've seen, the claims and process with many of these carriers, and they're just as good as the admitted carriers. It's just kind of the method of how you get to them. Remember, regardless of admitted or non-admitted, it's a contract. So there is requirement on both ends, your end and the insurance company's end, to fulfill that contract if a claim occurs.
All right. Tell them how to reach out to you.
Sure. Give us a call. 748-5224 is our office number. You can also find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency. And real last quick, Jeff, we are so stoked. Safeco Liberty Mutual has picked Barrett Insurance again for the opportunity to raise up to $10,000 for the Northeast Kingdom Cancer Action Network. We'll have more on that next week.
All right. Well, a lot of us are following you on Facebook, and we've been seeing nothing but good news lately. We'll see you in a week after Easter.
Absolutely.
Have a hoppy Easter.
Hoppity hop hop.
He beat me to it. Hometown Minute on the way. Right now it's music from the Black Crowes on Magic.